Yeah. Top tier. We here to elevate. Turn your dreams into reality. Look, the plan's laid out, clear lines, no confusion. The deadline's tight, so there's no room for illusions. Gotta keep the team synced, everybody aligned. Move like a unit, so nobody's left behind. Gotta watch for the clock, but we never let it pressure us. Work steady, always focused, but never rush. Cause if issues come up, then we handle them quick. Fix it, adjust it, already told you we're sick. Results speak for themselves, there ain't no need to brag or boast. We just stay putting the work here that matters most. No fancy words, just facts on a page. Top tier mindset, we're ready to engage. If you haven't made up your mind yet, in that position you will stay. In that position you will stay.
Today's episode, what we're actually going to be going over is actually two different platforms. So I'll introduce Copilot and specifically the Copilot Pages section, how to navigate that. Then I'll also introduce ChatGPT, which is the open AI, the one that pretty much everyone uses. What we're going to be going over is the custom GPT portion and the Pages function. So we'll show you how you can develop different things in there that you can repeatedly use. But what's really important about these is that it's really supercharged with your data, right? Up until now, the way we've been managing giving data to our AI is we literally just attach the file in real time. Now, what you can do when you're using a custom GPT or when you're using the Pages function on Copilot is you can actually drag and drop documents in there and it'll reference them from then on, right? So you don't have to keep referencing it, right? If you notice, if you have a ChatGPT chat, you upload a document, you're like, hey, comply with this document, and then a couple of chats later, you're like, hey, what does this document say about your compliance right now? And it'll say like, hey, re-upload it, right? Now, the reason why it does that is just it's part of its recall and how far back it goes. But this is why you want to upload it as a document instead. It makes it easier. So lots of words, right? So let's get right into it so you can see how it's actually done in real time. So right here, what we have is just our standard chat, right? So something that I haven't done a good job of is just kind of explaining what some of these buttons are for the standard chat. So if you got over here, ask me anything, this is where you text, right? Text instructions, right? You have this little plus sign, add photos of files. This is photos of files that you want to add directly to your transcript. You could also connect your SharePoint, connect it there. You could change something up to deep research, specifically to create an image. You do some agent mode, which we have some other stuff coming up. You could add sources, or you could do more, whether it's Canvas or whatever it is you want to do, right? There's lots of little buttons on here. I recommend playing around with them little by little and go from there. This little button here is the dictate function. This is when I turn it on. It'll actually like start taking into my language and what I'm saying, and it'll actually turn it into an actual prompt. I personally don't like to use the speech to text function, mostly is because what I find is I talk too much and it just adds a lot to the prompt for no reason because we just naturally have these filler words. Nobody talks like a prompt like a prompt AI or nothing like that. So like I don't like using the dictate function. Every now and then it is when I know exactly what I want. This other function here, this is one where you could click and just literally talk to the AIs that you're making and different things that you can do. Now over here, as far as ChatGPT, you could choose which one, what function you want. You want more for thinking, you want more of the legacy models, instant, whatever you want, right? This is so you can turn on temporary chat. Now, as we're going over here, right, there's a lot of different buttons in here. There's like your codex, your library, new chatting, you can search chats, right? As you know, as the way I kind of teach AI is I kind of recycle my chats, right? I'll delete them, I'll start new ones. I mostly focus on having GPTs that execute functions that are tailored to what I want to do, and then I execute off of that. Yeah. First is let's talk about the GPT store. So what is the GPT store? Really, it's a function that's available when you have the paid subscription on ChatGPT. can either create GPTs, you can reference your GPTs, you can search for GPTs, right? And you can also just reference top picks, right? So what a GPT is, essentially it's a fine-tuned model to a certain extent, because when it comes down to doing AI and creating AI products and solutions, it's not everyone's made the same, right? Some of them are developed according to like ethical standards, and they make use of effective prompting techniques and prompt structures, right? So that delivers good results. Some of them just don't, right? It just depends which one we want to do. So for us at top tier, if you want to look at any of our assistants that we have, right, it's all capital TTPS, right? And actually, it's going to pop up every one of the assistants that we create, whether it's a strategy buddy where you look at it like, hey, assess this business case for strategic importance. Let me know how I can make this better. Whereas you want to make content buddy, you got a Six Sigma study buddy, different things, or a Scrum study buddy, right? One of the biggest ones that you're probably seeing is the resume, right? Um, the resume buddy, right? Another one is the interview buddy. That also pops up. And then we also have a LinkedIn buddy that we can share as a direct link. Now, what I end up using GPTs for is either I make my own GPTs or I use ones that are already existing because it makes it easier for me to kind of like pick up some of the work, right? So let's look at some of these, right? You have like a Scholar GPT, you got a fitness workout GPT, image creation, AI humanizer, consensus right for me, whatever, right? So there's different things that you can use these for. Obviously, some of them are repetitive, some of them kind of ask you the same thing, but there's different ones that you can do, right? Whether if you want to create a code pilot or you're doing like logo creations or you're making different videos or realistic image GPTs, right? There's different ones. Now, for me, what I find is I have a trouble kind of creating images, right? So what I'll do is I'll get this image generator, right? So right here we have the ratings. It's over 300K plus people using it. 3.7 rating, that's pretty good. It's got its rating overall in Dolly, and then it's got 55 million plus conversations. These conversation starters, these are the akin to features, as I would say, in a different AI function. But basically, they get you started, right? Design a logo for a new tech star, illustrate a scene from a fantasy novel, create a portrait, whatever, right? The capabilities are there, and then you can read different ones. You can also see who the provider is, so you can continuously use their stuff. So what I do is I go ahead and click start chat, right? So when it comes to this one, I already started the chat and I went to go ahead and add that GPT specifically, right? So I'll just type in test now. So at least if it actually pops something up. And then you see it now, it's added here as my image creator GPT because now I'm already working. Now, um, the way I can work with this is already built to do things already that are native to its application, right? Or native to its training. What I want to do is kind of enhance that a little bit because typically when I use other people's GPTs, I find different stuff that I don't like. But this is one thing that I find that really helps me out where like, hey, you got an 80% solution, let me drive the rest home, right? So what I'll do is I'll go back to my prompt development, my prompt engineer, right? So if you guys saw some of our other episodes, you know we have a prompt engineer. It's a prompt that we developed that we trained over time, and it produces additional prompts for assistance, right? So you are making an image creation assistant. This assistant will hone in on branding guides and messaging to develop integrated images that align to a core business process, business product, or business goal. Create a prompt for this assistant using CIO framework and following all TTBS prompt stack template guides, right? Um, do not create small prompts, only write the instruction for how the assistant should behave and align to TTPS prompt stack template, right? So now I keep referencing this prompt stack template. So then what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to go ahead and add it directly. So then for me is the prompt stack template is just a document that I've created. This document actually explains how we will do AI. I have it written as my AI documents, and then I have my company prompt stack template here. So while it's updating, I'm just going to go and fix some of these words because it's bothering me a little bit. Yes, I know I have a lot of misspellings. It's called AI and spell check. Does it really matter anymore? Um, no, I know there's some school teachers that are like, no, it does matter. Like, no, it kind of doesn't. So let's just send it from there. Now, while I was thinking, what I'm doing really is I'm going to supercharge that fine-tuned GPT that already exists. So that chat that it is. So all I'll do is I'll take this, and then now what I'm going to harness is the power that's behind these GPTs. And I'll show you where the power is and where these documents are housed and stuff like that. So what I'll do is quite simply, I'll go ahead and take this. It's going ahead and copying in real time. It complies to my prompt stack framework. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, watch some of our prior videos. It kind of aligns from there. I'm gonna go right into this image creator, right? So it has a fresh chat. So now it's already activated, right? It goes from there. It's got some information. So it's asking, so it's taking the internal instruction it already has, but also got the prompt instruction that I gave it. And it's asking, what is the brand or business goal for this image and how would you describe the tone or audience it should appeal to? Now, you can go ahead and answer that directly. It'll help you out. Me, myself, I've actually developed an actual RAG folder, which retrieval augmented generation for my marketing. And in this, I actually kind of have all the stuff that I kind of want to have, to be honest. So one of the first things that I'll look for, right, is my capability statement. So they know what is that my company does, right? Another one that I'm looking for is the visual and branding guide, right? And then the last thing that I'll look for is the one sheet, the TTPS one sheet, right? So C, attach documents for referencing. Let's analyze and create an image that appeals to the younger crowd, age 16 through 25, to entice them to learn how to use AI. Do not create original hashtags, use the branding and visual guide provided, right? So now we're just gonna launch from there. So now what I really did is AI is for you. It talks about the context, the visual description of what it'll be, primary, the composition. So now all this stuff here, this is different stuff that I didn't really add. This is stuff that's been taken from the GPT instruction itself, right? That's the brand connection. And then it tells me for right, what I do is I review everything, make sure I know what it is, what I like, and it all aligns together. And I go from there. And then from here, like, yes, um, I'd say create an image based off the visual plan above. So now what it kind of tends to do when I usually do this is I'll let it cook for a little bit because it's kind of going through the motion. And because it's going through the motions, I just want to give it time to think, right? Obviously it's updating in real time, but now I'm gonna show you a sneak peek as to like the step I would call it before a custom GPT, which would be the Copilot pages things. So when you go to Copilot, and a lot of people use the Copilot app, but same mistake, they don't sign in, right? So what I need you to do is go ahead and sign in. You'll click on your library right here. Now in library, you can create images, you have pages, research reports, and podcasts, right? All these are written the same way. They're all going to be based off of the same thing, which is like documentation and stuff. So right here we have pages, we have an untitled page. So this page it could be the Gen Z marketing page, right? Because their marketing is just different, right? So now what I can do is I can start adding some of these documents. So for me, once again, I'm kind of set up. So I have my TTPS business capabilities, right? And then I also will have my visual and branding guide, right? Analyze these documents to understand what our marketing strategy is and our core message, right? So I'll just include them. This is TTPS visual and branding guide. And then it's missing the TTPS capability statement, right? Review this capabilities to ensure we know what all TTPS does, right? So I like this version, so I'm looking at it. Then I'm re-adding the TTPS capability statement so they can lead, right? So now it's gonna start offering different stuff. This is good revision, right? Now let's make a social media post in text to be used in Facebook, right? The reason why you use it in Facebook is Facebook, what I found is a little bit more of like words and people actually read, whereas Instagram is more pictures and different stuff that I'll do, right? So then from right here, it'll have the revision. It has this projects, right? And then it'll write it from there. So this is TTPS capabilities. These are our core offerings. These are special projects and program management, etc. Right? So now let me apply the CIO framework a little bit, right? Let's say you are making a social media post for Facebook. Use the branding guide to create a 50-word post introducing TTPS, right? So now is there top tier project serves a veteran-led, community-rooted workforce development firm dedicated to empowering individuals, real skills, real results. We offer industry-aligned training and project management, AI literacy, cloud computing, and more, trying to help you succeed in today's job market. It even caught that I misspelled my own company, and it's good. So now, as you can see, this page constantly refreshes. So you have to be like use a very good prompt structure for this, right? Context, instruction, in scope, and out of scope. As long as you're doing that, it does a lot of point and click type of stuff. This is kind of different things. Now let's check on our image though, right? So now what we have here is the image. What you'll notice is there's some bright colors. There's a younger generation a part of this. This is all simple stuff that is what was created with this GPT, right? So all I really did is I took a GPT that was already good at doing whatever it did. I talked to my prompt engineer a little bit, made a better prompt. Now what I have, an easy tailor-made GPT solution. So I'm actually going to go ahead and download this one because it's actually really good, and I'm actually going to use it for social media. But the other thing that I was want to show you guys, right, is how it is that you can support GPTs, whether you can review GPTs, you can report a GPT, send feedback, copy a link, etc. Now, for this one, this is a good action, right? I could branch in a new chat, I could report message, whatever, right? One thing I like to do is this was perfect. This is what I wanted. Do this again from now on, right? So now I'm talking to it. I let it know, right, this is the right thing that you want. So now I know exactly what it is. So now what this has actually become is closer to a fine-tuned model. So now I could actually share this. Now I'd have to try this a couple more times to make sure it passes the test. But after it does, I can use this share function and I just share the link directly with any of my friends. I'm like, hey man, you could use this to go ahead and make your own images real quick. And it works well. Now, let me show you the back end of some of this stuff so you can see what we're talking about when it comes to these GPTs. So here I have all of my GPTs. They're different ones. This is one that I recently made. I'm just going to go ahead and delete it because it's not really being used. And then I have an untitled one that hasn't really worked, right? That I haven't really fixed. Now, when you're looking at this, one of the ones, let's look at my PMP study buddy, right? So this is my PMP study buddy. And then I'll go ahead and go into edit GPT. So now you can see the difference. So here you have the create function. In the create function, you just kind of copy paste a prompt that you want, and it'll create one for you. I like a little bit more control, so I go to the configure function. In the configure function, you'll put the name. Hey, what is it? I like to have the buddy atmosphere, so everything's a buddy. It's the description. What does it do? And here's the instructions. These instructions are written in the CIO framework in compliance with the TTPS prompt stack. Now, here we have our conversation starters, different things that could get us going, right? There are different things that we think we can use this for, right? And then here's our knowledge base. So what we have right here is the PenBox 7th edition. This is because this is my project management study buddy. This helps me to study for my PMP certification if I'm getting that, but it also helps me to apply my PMP certification. I actually use this almost every day for creating project charters, business cases, benefits management plan, resource management plans, all the stuff that I learned in my PMP course. I actually use this very frequently. Then I have other documents and other things that I like to use. Now, what's good about this is, remember how I said I keep uploading the documents? Now it's kind of saved here. So it's always going to reference this. So it's always going to reference the instruction, and it's always going to reference these documents. Well, what's the difference between that and Copilot? Well, quite simply, that in Copilot, even though it has the documents that will reference here and it'll always have them, every instruction will produce something new, right? Now, you could always add sources, right? And this is where it kind of sits, right? So I'll go ahead and add some sources here, right? So that way it's kind of there. And then I add some more sources, visual branding guide. So this is in essence how you could create your own kind of chat GPT or something of that nature, right? Just keep in mind, when it comes to Copilot, it's a little bit more click and point, right? It's got to be more pointed stuff. You don't want to give it too much creative stuff because it kind of like it's just easier for like point and click type of stuff. Like, hey, fix this basic problem, make basic business issues faster. Like rewrite this for AD readability. Rewrite this so that it's clearer, right? Rewrite this so that way we highlight this instead. Use this tone. Analyze this sentiment. Tell me what you think. Different things like that. Now, when it comes to the GPT, this is where you have a lot more control. You have instruction, and you can upload up to 20 documents. A lot of those documents can be your actual rules and how you actually want the model to behave. Now, in this one, you could specify which model you want. You could turn off the web search, keep on the web search, right? There's different actions. You can even do custom APIs and do different things like that from here, right? You could do an API key authorization cancel. So when people are talking about making agents and like automating stuff, they're talking about using this. Now, I don't really use this that much, mostly because I just haven't developed the need too much to use it. This is something that I am going to develop little by little, but for right now, honestly, I'm just kind of using my GPTs for what they are. So that's kind of what we went over for today's episode. Is really down and dirty on like how to use Copilot, use the pages function, update documents in there, and talk to it in the CIO framework. I actually showed you the same thing for the custom GPTs, how to talk to the GPTs, how to take someone else's GPT and use your prompt engineer to make it even better and produce the images or the content or whatever desired result you want. So that's it for this episode. I hope you guys liked it. As always, hey, let's hear your best bars at the end of the episode. See what you got. Hopefully, you guys like some of this content. I'll be dropping more and more and getting a little bit more focus on how to create actual GPTs. So we learned how to create assistants. Now we're going to create actual GPTs, and we'll go into figuring out how to create some of these documents that we actually need to have to make these more powerful. Now, if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Happy to interact back and forth. But that's it, man. See what you got. I'll catch you around. Late.
Elevate Studio.